Welcome to SATV News. This is Riaz Mahmood with our headlines. European Union will provide €4 million support package for Bangladesh elections, announces EU ambassador. Prioritizing July Charter over Constitution will set bad precedent for country, says Salahuddin Ahmed. Charter disagreements can be resolved legally. Government firmly committed to holding polls in February, says a law advisor. Government moving forward with all preparations. Now in details, the European Union will provide a support package of €4 million to help Bangladesh's Election Commission organize the upcoming national elections in line with international standards, said EU Ambassador to Bangladesh Michael Miller. Speaking to reporters after a meeting with the Chief Election Commissioner A.M.M. Nasiruddin at the Election Commission office in Agargaon today, Ambassador Miller also said that the EU is working as a partner in Bangladesh's progress towards democratic elections, with the country preparing for polls in early 2026. He further noted that the EU will assist the Election Commission in several areas, including capacity building, providing expert advice, supporting effective planning, and strengthening dispute resolution mechanisms. Electoral experts will be here to ensure that there is a strong focus on citizen observation in the coming elections, added the EU ambassador. BNP Standing Committee member Salahuddin Ahmed has said that even if there are some disagreements in the July Charter draft, it can be resolved legally. Speaking to reporters at his Gulshan residence today, Salahuddin Ahmed also stated that if the compromise document takes precedence over the Constitution, it will set a bad precedent. A way must be found to implement the compromise agreement within the framework of the Constitution, he added, asserting that there are some inconsistencies in the July Charter draft. He said the government was formed in accordance with the current Constitution and no constitutional vacuum occurred during the swearing-in. Since there is no constitutional violation at present, the issue is irrelevant, added the BNP leader. He further said that not only BNP but many political parties have given notes of dissent. Meanwhile, BNP's Senior Joint Secretary General Ruhul Kabir Rizvi has alleged that activists are creating mobs to prevent Chhatrodol from collecting nomination forms in the Dhaka University Central Students' Union election. Chhatrodol is being obstructed from buying nomination forms by forming mobs, he said today, after offering flowers and prayers at the grave of BNP founder and former President Zia Rahman. The program was organized marking the 45th founding anniversary of Jatiyotabadi Shechchasebok Dol. Mob culture has spread across the country because the law is not being enforced properly. As a result, illegal activities are taking place and even the lives of minorities have become endangered, said Mr. Rizvi. Regarding elections, the BNP leader said that the government has announced it would give an electoral roadmap. However, the polling centers created with political motives during the fascist era must be cancelled. A fresh arrangement of centers based on the people's distribution is a must, he further added. Referring to the government's firm stance on elections, law, justice and parliamentary affairs, advisor Dr. Asif Nazrul today said the government, in line with the chief advisor's announcement, is firmly committed to holding the national election next February. He made the remark after a meeting at the cabinet division. He also said the government is moving forward with all preparations for the election. The government's stance on this remains unwavering, he added. Commenting on political parties' statements regarding the timing of the election, Dr. Asif Nazrul said the responsibility of holding the election lies with the government, not any political party. The law advisor further said political parties often make different remarks for various purposes, which is part of the political process. Describing Chief Advisor Dr. Muhammad Yunus as a globally respected figure, Asif Nazrul said there is no question of deviating from the commitment made by him and the election will be held as per the announced schedule. Dr. Asif Nazrul further addressed issues related to land acquisition and PDB projects, saying inflated prices are often shown and controversies frequently arise. The appeal hearing on the state's petition against the High Court verdict that acquitted former Home Minister Lutfuzzaman Babu and BNP acting chairman Tariq Rahman in the 21st August grenade attack case has been adjourned till Wednesday. Today was the third day of the hearing at the appellate bench led by Chief Justice Syed Rifat Ahmed. Deputy Attorney General Abdullah Al Mahmood represented the state, while senior lawyer Sam Shah Jahan and lawyer Muhammad Shishir Munir appeared for the accused. On December 1st, a High Court bench comprising Justice A.K.M. Asaduzzaman, now an appellate division justice, and Justice Syed Inayat Hussain acquitted all accused in the case. The full copy of the verdict was released on December 19. Following the verdict, the state filed a leave to appeal, seeking permission to challenge the acquittal. Permission was granted on June 1st, allowing the appeal to proceed. The authorities of Begum Rokeya University, Rangpur, have sought 10 days to respond to the demand from students to hold the Students' Union election as they stage a hunger strike. BRUR Vice Chancellor Professor Dr. Muhammad Shaukat Ali sought the time on Monday night, said a statement signed by the university's public relations officer Ihtiramul Haq. The students have been on hunger strike since 11 a.m. on Sunday, demanding the immediate announcement of the election schedule. Meanwhile, 6 students have fallen ill, with 3 admitted to Rangpur Medical College Hospital. The university administration said drafting the Students' Union Constitution and issuing an official gazette cannot be completed within days. As work on the process is ongoing, the VC has sought 10 working days to complete the preparations, the statement reads. Acknowledging the demand, the statement said a student union has become more urgent following the July uprising, with students eagerly waiting the election schedule. Viewers, are taking a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. You are watching SATV News. Now, news from abroad. Qatar confirms that Hamas has responded positively to a Gaza ceasefire proposal, including a 60-day truce, but no response yet from Israel. At least 8 people were killed in Israeli attacks on tents housing displaced people in Khan Yunis, and 4 more in an attack on a tent in Deir al-Balah, according to hospitals. Israeli forces blew up houses in southern Gaza City while heavy fire was reported in the Tufah neighborhood in eastern Gaza City. Al Jazeera correspondents said, bringing the death toll since dawn to 26. UN Human Rights Office says Israel is not doing enough to stop widespread starvation, as Gaza Health Ministry says 3 more Palestinians die from malnutrition. Israel's war on Gaza has killed at least 62,004 people and wounded 1,56,230, while 1,139 people were killed in Israel during the Hamas-led October 7, 2023 attacks, with more than 200 taken captive. Meanwhile, Israel is letting some supplies into the Gaza Strip, but not enough to avert widespread starvation, the United Nations Human Rights Office said on Tuesday. In the past few weeks, Israeli authorities have only allowed aid to enter the quantities that remain far below what would be required to avert widespread starvation. UN Human Rights Office spokesperson Thamin al-Khitan told a Geneva press briefing. He added that the risk of starvation in Gaza was a direct result of the Israeli government's policy of blocking humanitarian aid. Israel's military agency that coordinates the aid, COGAT, said Israel invests considerable efforts in aid distribution to Gaza.
Authorities have only allowed aid to enter in quantities that remain far below what would be required to avert.
US President Donald Trump said on Monday that the United States would help Europe in providing security for Ukraine as part of any deal to end Russia's war in Ukraine, as he and President Volodymyr Zelensky began a hastily arranged White House meeting to discuss a path to peace. He also suggested to reporters that he no longer believed reaching a ceasefire was a necessary prerequisite for striking a peace agreement, backing a position staked out by Russian President Vladimir Putin and opposed by Zelensky and most European leaders. Zelensky was also backed by the leaders of Britain, Germany, France, Italy, Finland, the European Union and NATO, who traveled to Washington to demonstrate solidarity with Ukraine and push for strong security guarantees for the country in any post-war settlement. Following their one-on-one discussion, Trump and Zelensky made a joint appearance with the European leaders ahead of a planned multilateral talks. Zelensky described the one-on-one discussion as very good and said they had spoken about the importance of U.S. security guarantees for Ukraine. Trump said he and Zelensky had covered a lot of territory during their discussion.
It's going to be good. They are first line of defense because they're there. They're Europe. But we're going to help places when you look at.
Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Tuesday that it was clear at Friday's U.S.-Russia-Alaska summit that U.S. President Donald Trump and his team sincerely wanted to achieve a long-term and sustainable peace in Ukraine. Lavrov said the atmosphere at the Putin-Trump summit was very good. It was clear that the head of the United States and his team firstly sincerely want to achieve a result that will be long-term, sustainable, reliable, Lavrov told the Russia 24 state television channel. Lavrov contrasted what he said was the constructive U.S. position to that of Europe, some of whose leaders took part in an extraordinary summit at the White House on Monday with Trump and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to discuss Ukraine. Lavrov further said the Europeans had insisted at every turn only on a ceasefire and that after that they would continue to supply weapons to Ukraine.
После этого они будут продолжать поставлять Украине оружие. Хорошая атмосфера, и она отражена в заявлениях, которые сделали.
China on Tuesday reiterated that it is not a party to the Ukraine crisis and renewed its call for peace talks. Speaking at a regular press briefing in Beijing, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said China has maintained an objective and impartial position since the onset of the conflict. China is willing to work with the international community in accordance with the wishes of the parties concerned to continue to play a constructive role in the political resolution of the crisis, Mao said. She highlighted that Beijing previously outlined its stance in a position paper on a political settlement to the crisis and launched diplomatic efforts, including shuttle diplomacy and the formation of a group of friends for the peace at the United Nations. Meanwhile, Indian Foreign Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar began talks with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi in New Delhi on Monday and stressed that there could be positive momentum in ties between the neighbors only if there was peace on their border. Wang arrived in the Indian capital on Monday for a two-day visit, during which he will hold the 24th round of border talks with Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and also meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Wang's visit comes days before Modi travels to China to attend the summit to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, a regional political and security group which also includes Russia.
There is a clearly imperative of main.
Details of security guarantees for Ukraine could be ignored out within the next week or so, said Finland's President Alexander Stubb on Monday following a meeting between European leaders and President Donald Trump. He also said Russian President Vladimir Putin was rarely to be trusted and that it remained to be seen if Putin would have the courage to have a meeting with Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Stubb was one of several European leaders traveling to Washington for a joint meeting with Trump and Zelensky to discuss the prospect for peace between Russia and Ukraine. Islamic State backed armed with machetes and hoes killed at least 52 civilians, including 8 women and 2 children in the Beni and Lubero territories of eastern Congo in recent days, said the United Nations on Monday. The United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo condemns in the strongest possible terms the attacks perpetrated by the armed group Allied Democratic Forces between 9 and 16 August, the UN mission's spokesperson said. Upon arrival, they first awoke the residents, gathered them in one place, tied them up with ropes, and then began to massacre them with machetes and hoes, Makar Sivikunala, chief of Lubero's Bapere sector, told Reuters over the weekend. The rebels were taking revenge on civilians after suffering defeats by Congolese forces. Lieutenant Elongo Kionda Mark, a regional Congolese army spokesperson, said. Spanish military emergency unit firefighters battled a blaze overnight on Tuesday.